Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Mordechai, live from Chicago. We're using very, very expensive equipment, laptop camera today because our camera is out. And we have to move because it's almost Chatzos in New York. So if you're watching New York, pay attention to the clock if you don't want to go over Chatzos. We'll just do, real quickly, we'll do a email or two. I don't know whether you would consider this a kiss from Hashem, to me, you, or both, but I was flying from New York to Eretz Yisrael Monday night, and because you recorded Daf Ayin early because you were flying back to Chicago, I was able to do Tuesday's Daf in the airport before boarding and not fall behind, traveling 11 years since Saita. Your hopelessly addicted Talmud, Dr. Meir Wickler. Rabbi said, which reminds me that we have a very choshev guest here. What's your name again? Aaron Schulmfeldenbaum, all the way, came special, flew in just for today's shir, all the way from Orlando. Sponsored, somebody sponsored you, no? You want to say his name? No. Okay. Huh? Tzvi Yishkoich for the great gift, whoever you are. It's a tremendous honor and schos. I wish I had a camera that could turn around over here. And, this has to go over here, sorry. Yeah. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. I was getting frustrated with all this technology. Okay. Dear Moiri V'Rami Reb Eli Shlita. Who says that? Whose lashon is that? Anybody know? It was amazing to attend your share in person on Sunday. My wife and I decided to make a trip to the Catskills. So what happens to be the Tannersville and Hunter is the real Catskills. The other one is the fake one. Kach Shamati. At least the people in Tannersville want to say that. So the kids said they stopped off at Catterskill Falls, which is 10 minutes away from Rose's Mountain, where I was. I was wearing an MDY cap. She called over to me and said, the shir is changing Klal Yisrael. More and more Yidden are learning because of the shir. The falls are quite a sight to behold. Okay. The weiter. So after finishing supper, about to leave, a Yid comes running over and asks where can he find mincha. So one thing led to another. He said he's going to a shir. He looked a little bit confused. He said, I thought Rebelli's in Eretz Yisrael. The Kitzer, no, he's here in the Catskills. So he came over and he said that, and he told me the story, that he has a person who wouldn't be from today if not for the shir. And Shkoyach coming over and telling me the story. During the shir, Rebbe mentioned the famous Rebbe Pesach Kron story, helped his daughter find the shidduch. On the way home, I turned on Kol Baramah. That's what we said yesterday, kiss from Hashem. I realized that due to the timing of the start of Masechtas Kedushin, Paris Chaim Levin always thinks about getting more people to the shir. So he says, right before Rosh Chodesh is when Kedushin starts. It would be perfect opportunity to do MDY recruitment drive in the Catskills right before everyone starts leaving. And I'm planning a recruitment drive in the Catskills for Sunday, August 13th. I would like to set up MDY recruitment booths throughout the Catskills. Obviously, you can't man all of them. I'm trying to solicit volunteers to help this effort. I sent this text to some of the local MDY. Sunday, August 13th, just before we start Kedushin, is a perfect time to recruit neshamas in the Catskills. Can you help? The kids call him at 917-584-5722. Paris Chaim Levin. I'm hoping I'm not going to be the only one doing the recruiting. Your Talmud always, Paris Chaim Levin. And one last one. So I said a maisa over from Rabbi Spitzer. I said, I don't know where he is. He learned with me in Pesach, and the knife cut his hand. This message is for Eli Stefansky from Sendy Spitzer, the guy from Pesach. Somebody told me to listen to the last few minutes of today's shir. It really brought back fond memories, although some minor pirotim in the story were slightly different. Okay. I said it happened 35 years ago. So the fact that I even remember the story, I can't remember Gemara from a day ago, but the Maisa of 35 years ago that stuck out. It'd be nice to reach out and get in touch. By the way, I have a kollel in London. So he's a Rosh Kollel in London. Beautiful. Be'ez Hashem after Tisha B'Av sometime between this Tisha B'Av and next Tisha B'Av. Hope to reach out to him. Rabbi Sai, the kollel is sponsored by Names from Lakewood. The Refuah Shlema Esther Bas Beilo. The Masech is sponsored by Moshe Banda. Thank Hashem, and I want to thank you for everything that I have. The parnassa chodesh. Leah niishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Parnassa chodesh. Leah niishmas Chaya Ben Moshe. Parnassa chodesh. Bracha b'lidai in all my endeavors. Baruch Tzvi Nissim Ben Shoshana Leah. Parnassa chodesh number 4 by Dr. Avrum Epstein in memory. Third yahrzeit. His beloved Raiza Gitl Zeav, who was my neighbor in the building. She was an unbelievable person. Always had a smile on her face. She had the machla on her tongue, and suddenly she was nifter. I might even talk about it during shir if I have this moment. The parnassa chodesh Mordechai ben Esther for complete Refuah Shlema b'karov. Parnassa shavua Ari Stawis Refuah Shlema for Leah bas Gitel and his segulah for continued parnassa. Parnassa yoim brain intact, unleash your full potential. Should be zoyel and kedusha and tremendous success in all my endeavors. Parnassa yoim the Schachter family, Lezechar niishmas, our dear son Chaim Yisroel Yitzchok ben Ahron. The Shoshana should have an aliyah, and the art is sponsored for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah or Boisai. We have to make sure we don't go into Chatzois here. We have a time limit, and it's early in the morning. I have to say, from the most difficult shiurim of the year for me, because I only had until now to prepare. We finished the shiur very late last night, and I had a meeting until past midnight. And then, in addition, I also have to prepare for Motzei Tisha B'Av, and I can't learn on Tisha B'Av. So it's fun stuff, but it's fun for the Olam as well. It's very difficult to learn today, and especially if you're in New York and how you're going to get it. And I'm asking the Olam, please skip ahead after Tisha B'Av. Just go ahead, forget what happened, and don't fall off the bandwagon because of Tisha B'Av, Chas v'Shalom. Rabbi Isai, we had a machlokes. We're just going to finish this off. We have another Mishnah, a fresh Mishnah, a new start, a very famous Mishnah. We have to finish off the machlokes from yesterday, and it's Gishmak. Again, going into that idea, that shaila of mili, mimser, and l'shliach or not. When anybody, in our case, a husband tells a shliach, an agent, go write a get, give a get, does that agent have the ability to give over those words to another person? Make another shliach. He's lazy, doesn't want to do it, he gives it over to another guy. Mili mimser l'shliach, or loy mimser l'shliach. We saw machlokes, Rabbi says, mili loy mimser l'shliach. You cannot give over the words. So, made it very easy. This is the beginning of the Mishnah and the middle and the end of the Mishnah. When the Mishnah says, Imru l'soifer, go tell the soifer. And he goes and the soifer writes, and the Mishnah says that it's no good. Why is it not good? Because he didn't say tnu. Okay, stop. What does that mean? He didn't say tnu. And if he did say tnu, he would be able to go to somebody else and tell somebody else to do it. What is that? Mili mimserim l'shliach. The only reason it's not good is because he didn't say tnu, he missed a word. But let's say he did say the right words, then the shliach, could go make a second shliach instead of me, and that's a mili mimserim l'shliach. So the first part of the Mishnah seems like mili mimserim l'shliach. As the Gemara, there's a big problem here because at the end of the Mishnah it seems like mili loy mimserim l'shliach. This where it says two, it says all the way at the end of the Mishnah, it's a good get. It's not a good get until he tells the soifer ksoiv. Mashma mili loy mimserim l'shliach leidem chasoimu. The get, sorry, it says a get bottle. He must tell directly. The husband has to tell the soifer directly and the edom directly. There is no giving over to another shliach. There is no one shliach to the other shliach. Mili loy mimserin. So what do? The top of the Mishnah says mili mimserin. The bottom says mili loy mimserin. You want to tell me the top is going according to a mayor, the bottom goes according to Rabbi Yosi? That's the doichak, and that's how we finished off yesterday. So now we're holding like 7 lines from the top of Amud Beis, Amud Aleph. Rav Ashi Omar Kula Rabbi Yosi. Rav Ashi is of the opinion, and Abai also tried to do this. It makes a lot more sense to say that it goes according. The entire Mishnah is one shita. The shita of Rabbi Yosi that what? Loy mimser and l'shliach. If I tell a shliach to do something, he cannot give it over to another guy. So why in the beginning of the Mishnah does it seem like it goes according to another man? The Omar says the Gemara, V'loy mebayik Omar. The Mishnah is going in a way, sometimes the Mishnah does it, it tells you a smaller chiddush, and then and it's certainly the bigger chiddush, the lesser chiddush. Loy mebayik Omar. Now what? Loy mebayik and loy Omar tenu. In other words, he said kisvu and tenu. He didn't just say. It's a little tricky. We had this little tricky thing yesterday also. Lo Amar Tnu doesn't mean that he missed the word Tnu. It means that he said Tnu and Kisvu. Elafilu Omar Tnu. Even if he said tnu, loi, you don't say that you could give it over to a shliach. And then the Gemara continues to say all the chiddush. If he told 3 people, that's a lot easier to say that they could give it over, because 3 is what? A bezdin. So not only 3, but even if he's told it to 2, he told it to 2, not to 3. Even if he said it to a bezdin, we're going to build up. We go slow and then we build up the chiddush. Loi. Also in a case where he told 3 people, write a get. So it's like, hey, I'm telling you, bezdin, to go appoint somebody else. Even in that case, loi mimserin. In other words, the whole mission is loi mimserin, is just going in levels of chiddush. V'loi mibaya, third thing, loi mibaya, the loi omar imru, that we could just, the famous Omer Imru. Omer Imru sounds confusing, so simple. It just means that the husband didn't say, you write the get, and then you decided on your own to get a shliach. He actually told you to get a shliach. He gave you instructions. You, shliach number 1, make a shliach number 2. And in that, Lo Omar Imru, okay, it's no good. El afilo Omar Imru, even if he said Imru, it's also not good. Okay, so we went through all the steps, no matter what, whether it's 2 people, 3 people, whether he said Imru, everything is no good, because Rabbi Yossi holds mili loy mimser l'shliach. He cannot give over anything to another shliach. Tanya give us a Ravashi. The what? This thing right here that we have on the sheet. Omer Imru is puzzle. That's a big chiddush, right? Even if the guy says straight out, the guy says, I want you, Ruvain, to go get Shimon to write a get. He cannot do so because Mili Loy Mimser and Rabbi Yossi is according to Ravashi, Rabbi Yossi is of the opinion that you can't give over a shlichus. So we have a raya to Ravashi that is possible if he does. Chasaf Sofer Lishma v'chasmu Edim Lishma. If the Sofer wrote the get, they did it correctly. So they did everything perfectly, and then the husband took the get and he gave the wife the get. Batal, it's not a good get. Why? Listen to this. They have to hear directly, straight from the husband. The Sofer hears right. And the Gemara explains Yishmu. What do you mean they have to hear? There's a mandamar like we had before, that if the husband says, Ruvain, go ahead and tell Shimon to write a get, that's good. No, it's not good. He has to hear it directly from his mouth. What does it mean, his voice? Now what? We had this whole thing yesterday. Just to remind the Olam, I took off the guy's ears because I didn't like the ears. In a case where a guy was a pikach, he's 100% regular, normal, and then he lost his hearing and his speech, Rav says what? He could give a get by writing. And I want to tell you not. The Bracha is saying koiloi. It has to be, you can't write anything. The husband has to say straight out, I want you to write a get.
If he writes the get himself.
No, not only that. Very good. He wants to know if he writes the get. Of course, if he writes the get, it's good. But Taisa says tremendous, and this is very, very important. What about if it's a regular human being, a guy that hears and speaks perfectly? He's a genius. He has an IQ of 180. And somebody said, and he wrote on a piece of paper, write my wife a get. Good or not good, Rabbi Yisai? We just said, koiloi, you have to hear it from the guy's mouth. Says Taisus, it is a good get. It's a good get. No, we're talking about a cheresh, a guy that can't hear or speak. So you have to hear koiloi. You have to know that he's competent. But a guy that is competent, and I know that he wants to write a get. How do I know? Because he text messaged me. That's enough. I don't have to hear it. There's no halacha that you have to hear it. It's unbelievable Taisus. You know, this Taisus, you might make a mistake. So going back, now that you have a question about your guy writing a get, of course it's a good get. Now we have a very famous Mishnah. I think it's famous. I don't know. Although on the side it only says it's brought down twice. I didn't like that, but I mean, it just seems so famous. Like you have it in different Mesechtas. Maybe I'm wrong. So first of all, in order to understand this, the point of this whole Mishnah is, or one of the points, ein get lachar misa. Okay, if a guy says that I want the get to take place after he dies, obviously it's not going to take place. A get could only take place between a husband and a wife. When the husband is bye-bye, there's no husband, there's no wife, there's no marriage to break. So the get cannot take place after death. So we have some Lashonas in the Mishnah. Some of the language is saying straight out it should take place after death. Those are the first ones. And then therefore it doesn't work at all. But then we have a very interesting Lashon, a retroactive Lashon. After the person dies, it should retroactively work from today, 6 years earlier. That is okay. Says the Mishnah, Gittin. I want the get to be chal. It should go into effect if he dies. It shouldn't go into effect today. He's not saying retroactive. He's saying when he dies, it should go into effect. What's the halacha? No good. So here are the three cases that the Mishnah says is not good. Gittin imati if he dies, or mechayli from this disease. But when should it take place? After he passes, or la'achar misa straight out. You think? By the way, you're going no good. You're going to see a sheet that it is good. Basically, holds it is good. But okay, in our mission, no good. When should it take place? This is straight out. Mefurish doesn't get any more mefurish than this. After death, it should be chal lo yomar klum 0, right? Not so pashut that it's 0, but the Mishnah says 0. That's how we read it. But he says the get should be chal today. If what? If he dies tomorrow, if he dies next year, it should take place from now, not from today. Today, now, same thing, or almost the same. From this point, or from today, imati, Raiza Gitl. Why? Because that's called a retroactive get, not clarification, retroactive get. A person gives the get on Sunday. If he dies on Tuesday, and he died on Tuesday, so when is the get chal? On Sunday. So it's not a get lachar misa, it's not a get after death, it's a perfect get. Mayoim ulachar misa, but now he says, from today, and after death, now he's confusing us. Oh, thank you, Mark. No, yeah. Hold on, let me go back. Yishkoyach. Mark is controlling this, but he's right. In Mati, we have two cases of retroactive. He says Imati Mayoim or Imati Masha, which to me it's almost the same. Kemat the same. Masha means this moment. Mayoim means these 24 hours. But now there's another case. It's a case that can go both directions. He says Mehayoim, it should be retroactive. But then he says Ula Achar Misa, and after death. By the way, that's why it's a little dark here, because this thing, where do we turn this on? It might be Kedai. I think they turned it on. No, I know for sure. In behind, like right over here behind this wall. Yeah. Shkoyach. Oh, Shkoyach. Raiza Gitl. I don't know what it did to the picture. I don't know. Raiza Gitl. Mayoim alachem yiso get venu get. So since he's contradicting himself, he might have retracted what he said. He said Mayoim, thought about it for a moment, and then he says Ulachar Misa. So maybe retracted, or maybe no. Lachar Misa should work retroactive. I don't know. Why is he doing this get? We said it over and over. It doesn't hurt to say it again. Why is a person divorcing his wife 5 minutes before he dies? Because he doesn't want her to fall to his crazy brother. He has a nutty brother. He doesn't like himself. Certainly his wife never liked him. She doesn't want to marry him. So why get into the whole mess? Gives her a get 5 minutes before he dies. They had a great marriage, but here's a get. It's like a gift. And now you don't have to fall the evil. But I don't know if that's what he meant. Did he meant that but he wants to stay married to her until he dies. He doesn't want to give up his wife now. Who's going to visit him in the hospital and everything, right? So he says, Me'ayoim, it should be get Me'ayoim. Ulachar Misa, and after I die, maybe. So the halach is get veinu get. So we have a suffix get here. So what do? So certainly she can't fall yibum. She can't marry her brother-in-law because what if it was a good get? And if it's a good get, you're not allowed to marry your brother-in-law. Sorry, eshazach. So v'imeis choletzes v'lo misei bemes. So just to take care of the shaila, you do chalitza, but you cannot do yibum because you don't know what's going on here. Now we're going to see this later, and Rashi pointed out over here. So it's kedai just to do a chazara. When it comes to get, there's only one stage in a get. It's not a two-stage process. Divorce, slice, cut, broken, done. It's one thing. When it comes to a gift, there's two stages. Why? Because a gift has the principle and the produce. So when a person wants to gift over something to his son, let's say Rashi brings, it's a machlokes, it's a mishnah, somebody wants to give his son a building. But he doesn't know how long he's going to live, but he wants to make sure it's now, tax purposes, whatever the thing is. So he says, mehayoim, it should work from today. In other words, you're getting the principle, but wait a minute, the father needs to live. He needs parnassa, he needs produce. The produce should happen after he dies. So that's very simple. Now I know why he said, mehayoim ulachar misa. It's two stages. Stage one should take place today, the guf. Stage two should take place tomorrow, the peiros. Great. But you can't say the same thing by a get, says Rashi. He's just pointing it out. And the Gemara is going to bring that machlokes. Says Gemara, Mishnah. A person has stage 5 yenamachla, and he says, this is your get if he dies from this disease. And then he gets up, he's completely healed, and he walks in the marketplace, and then he gets a heart attack, and he dies. That's what I was saying about Mrs. Epstein, Zechraya. She was battling cancer of the tongue, and she was walking around. I saw her 2 days before she went by herself, no wheelchair, nothing. Went to the hospital to get treatment, and she got very, very heavy doses of chemo, and then she got a bug in the hospital, and then within 2 days she was nifter. Why was she nifter? I mean, it's important to the sugya. That's why I'm saying the story. Why was she nifter? Was she nifter because of the cancer? Was she nifter because of the bug? Or it's the same. One led to the other. I mean, these are questions you have to ask. So the Mishnah says, we gotta assess the situation. We ask the doctors, I guess. If it was caused because of the first one, right? A lot of people that have yenamachla, they don't die from yenamachla, they die from pneumonia, the last days, whatever it is. It reminds me, let's say, of COVID. During COVID, everybody died from COVID. Every 97-year-old that had cancer, COVID. People were in a car accident, he died from COVID. He pushed it, he was this, he had the mask on, and that's why he veered and he flew off the cliff. COVID. Every single person was COVID, they had to get the numbers high. Remember that? No revayim. So you have to assess. You don't ask those doctors. You ask why did this guy die? Is it the yenamachla or is it the pneumonia? What is it? So if it's obvious, like I just said, then okay, it's the yenamachla. If it's not, so you got to know. Because he stipulated and he said, if he dies from that machla, and at the end he got a pneumonia the last minute. Well, pneumonia is yenamachla. It's the same. It happened because of the yenamachla. That's why a regular guy just takes 2 antibiotics and he's done, maybe. So you ask the doctor. Says the Gemara. The Mishnah. Fine. Says the Gemara. Alma imati kalachar misadomi. So
this is enough of a determination to know she falls in evil. If the doctor says that.
Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to see exactly. At the end of the Gemara, I think it will be clear. If a guy gets up completely healthy, goes on his vacation, mamish, I'm done. He's done with the machla. And suddenly he gets a pneumonia, he gets a heart attack, no connection. He was done. He was active. That's not even a shayla. If a guy goes from this machla straight into the next machla, it's obvious from the first one. So Gemara is going to tell us that we have an in-between case where he kind of got up, he was still in a shtickle wheelchair walker situation. Literally, the Gemara says he's a walker. Then, okay, by the end of the sugya, we'll see.
It's also the care that some to be high
You're always Chaim Yisroel because that's not Hilchas Misa. Only if a guy kid falls off the roof and he's about to literally a second before, and he's literally there's no way to save him, and then a person takes a knife. Maybe even then I don't remember what. But a guy that's alive, and you pull the plug on him 3 days before he's going to die. Why you Chaim Misa? Of course you Chaim Misa. It's Retzechar.
We had to do someone recovers and done.
Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Alma imati. The word imati. We start off the Mishnah. Here, you look at this chart. This is already like kind of the answer of the Gemara. But we have two parts of the Mishnah. It says imati. If he dies, we said if he dies, meaning the get should be chal when he dies. No good, not a good get. Alma imati kilachar misadami. Guy says if he dies, he means to say after he dies, the get should be chal, no good. Vadatani, and then it says in the Mishnah, mahayoy mimati, from today, if he dies. So what's going on here? So in the second part of the Mishnah, he says, from today, if he dies, that you said it is a good get. Why is it a good get? Because you're going by the mahayoy, retroactive. But he says, imati, if I die. So the Gemara will explain. I know what you're saying. It's pashut, right? We had also in this Masechta, I looked it up on Daf Amud Beis. Abai says the same thing. Shtei l'shonis mashma, different sugya, but in the beginning about Shaleach. But no, because when he said it, I was like, wait a minute, it sounds familiar. He says the same idea, but in something else. Look at this chart; it's beautiful. The word im mati can mean if I die. In other words, he's saying if he dies, then the get should be chal. After he dies, no good equals no good. But the word im could also mean when. So when he dies, then the get should be chal today. Says Abaye, the word im has two meanings to it. Depends how you use it in a sentence. If you use it just imati, the word means if. And if I use it in the sentence mayoy imati, then the word means when. And when is very good. The get is chal today. That's great, retroactively. When do I know that it's chal today? As soon as he dies. When he dies, when, not if. When. At that point that he dies, then we go back 2 months, and the get is chal all the way 2 months earlier. Shtei l'shonis mashma. Mashma kema achshav, or mashma kema achiyad. It can mean that it should work retroactive. It can mean after death. If he used the word mayoim, then he meant that it should be working retroactive. But he didn't say mayoim. Then he said if. Okay, so we saw in the Mishnah, Zeh Gitl imati lo yomar klum. Lo yomar klum, literally. That's what we read. That what? If this is your get, if he dies. Nu, when should the get be chal? After death. After get, ain't get lachar misa equals no get. Omer Ravuna, v'choyletzes. Wait a minute. What does that mean, v'choyletzes? Choyletzes means Ravuna believes that we don't know exactly. It's a suffix. Because if it's not a get, what should the halacha be? Yibum. She should fall. She's never gotten a divorce. She's 100% married to her husband. Her husband dies without children. She falls the yibum to the brother-in-law. So why does Ravuna say she doesn't fall the yibum? Only chalitza. Because Ravuna holds this is suffix. And that's what we're going to go into for a little bit. But wait a minute. It says in the Mishnah nothing happened. Nothing happened means this should be yibum, not chalitza. It says Gemara leyama klum, that's your la'alma. It means that she's also to the whole world. But at the end of the day, I have a suffix, so she's also to the yom. That can't be. It's a nice try, says the Gemara. Okay, you're putting in the words and stuff. But how does it fit with the rest of the Mishnah? The second part of the Mishnah says mefurish. Choyletzes. What does that mean? How come part of the Mishnah says the word choyletzes and the first part of the Mishnah doesn't say choyletzes? Obviously, the first part of the Mishnah is no chalitza. It's yibum. It's not a get at all, and therefore there's yibum. Otherwise, you be consistent in the same Mishnah. Say the first part of it should say chalitza, the second part should say chalitza. Why do you only use the word chalitza at the second part of the Mishnah? Says the Gemara. Masnisin kirabanon. So Rashi says over here, Rabbanon is Rabbi Yehuda. That what? That when it comes to a gift that you give your son, you have to say mahayim. And if you don't say the word mahayim, it's a matana lachar misa. Okay? A guy who wants to give a gift to his son, you must say the word mahayim. Comes Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Yosi, we have to remember, this is the nekuda of the whole sugya to the end of the day today. Rabbi Yosi says a very simple thing. Zmanoi sheshtar mechiach halav. What does that mean? You don't have to say anything, says Rabbi Yosi. Look inside the shtar. What does it say inside the shtar? Inside the shtar says, the get was written today on Sunday. So that means he wanted to give the get on Sunday. Then he got sick and everything. Okay, so you go back retroactively to Sunday. You don't have to say mehayoim. The word mehayoim is extra, says Rabbi Yosi. You don't have to say mehayoim. It works even without the hayah. Again, remember when I said ulachar misa, you went like this? Avada, I don't know what you did. Yeah? Why? But Rabbi Yosi says no. The get says that the get was written today, Sunday. And then he said lachar misa. So after he dies, you go back to Sunday. What's wrong with that, says Rabbi Yosi? I don't have to say you don't like it. Okay. I hear. What's your kasha? Let's hear. Why don't you like it?
Yeah.
Maybe you're asking because anyway, you always have to write a date in a get. Doesn't mean that he wanted to give it today. Okay. Fine.
Also, it takes time even just to get it. We have a lot of situations. The others we have shliach. It takes time to get there. Also, on a regular get.
Yeah.
Somebody writes the date. Whatever the
That's
date.
basically what you're asking. The date has nothing to do with when he wants to give it.
So which is it, that day or the next day?
I hear. Very good. He's asking on a regular get, and you give it 2 days later. When was the chal? The day in the get or not? Fine. In a matana, you understand that it works because why did you write this date? He said I want it to happen today, but in a get maybe not. Okay, but also maybe you have a shayla. I'll go upon him. So Ravuna holds Ravuna that says that you require chalitza. We have a suffix here. Ravuna holds that the time of the get is moichiach and it's a get. But there's no yibum, you do chalitza. So what's the obvious question? If the time of the get proves that he wanted to give it earlier, so you shouldn't even need chalitza. Says the Gemara, hold on. Or let's see. Ravuna the Omar Kirbi, the Omar is manish shtar mochiach Allah. The time of the shtar proves that he wanted to give it earlier. In other words, that it's a beautiful, good get. You hear the Gemara's kasha? Simple kasha. So what's your suffix? You tell me it's a perfect get. How do I know it's a perfect get? Because he wrote a date in the get. And anytime you write a date in the get, you want the get to be chal on that date. So the get was chal 2 weeks ago. So she got divorced before her husband died. And 100% she got divorced, not 50% suffix. 100% she got divorced. So if she got divorced, why does she even have to do anything with her brother-in-law? Why does it have to be a chalitza? He'll tell me, you know what? Ravuna doesn't know 100. Rabbi Yosi, you're right. He holds us 100% a good get. You don't need chalitza. But Rav Huna doesn't know if I should pass like Rabbi Yosi or not. But why should he have such a suffix? I just to point out, Rabbi Baravua was the Talmud of Rav, the famous Rav who, right there with the end of the Tanoim, the beginning of Meray. Who's Rabbi Baravua's biggest Talmud? The Talmud, Rav Nachman. Some even say that Rav Nachman married Rabbi Baravua's daughter. Who's Rav Nachman's wife? Yalta, very good. Our guest from Orlando. Shkoyach, Yalta. So it's a shayla. It's not 100% because some say that it was his daughter, not his daughter. They want to bring different rights. Regardless, Rav Nachman, Talmud Muvik of Rabbi Baravua. Okay, so now he got sick. Rabbi Baravua, the Rebbe, the Talmud of Rav, gets sick. Chosh. Olagabe Rav Huna v'Rav Nachman. Now Rav Huna is the person in our story right here. We're saying, does Rav Huna know? Maybe he doesn't understand 100% that the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi or not. He doesn't know. But there's a story that the two of them, Rav Huna and Rav Nachman, the big Talmud of Rav Ravo, they go to visit their big Rebbe. Rav Huna and Rav Nachman, and so Rav Huna tells Rav Nachman, "Boy, Rav Ravo, once we're over here, please ask our Rebbe halacha Rabbi Yossi and halacha Rabbi Yossi, or in halacha. Is the halacha like Rabbi Yossi not?" Omar Lei, so Rav Nachman says, "Time with the Rabbi Yossi lo yadano halacha boy minei." I don't know the reason behind it, so how can I even ask him? Is the halacha is not? Now I saw Ahron say that if you remember the other day, we learned yahrzeit in Shas, Rabbi Yossi nimuki imoy. Rabbi Yossi, whatever he says, the halacha is like him because he has very, very good reasoning. So they say, oh, that's the pshat over here. That's when we know his good reason. But if his reason is a secret, then ain't halacha like Rabbi Yossi. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, ki nimuki imoy. He figured it out. Okay, stop a little pshat. So Omar Lei, akbay min halacha. She says, okay, you know what, Rabbi Nachman, you're the one very close to him. You asked the question. But the time of the Rabbi Yossi, I know I'm in halacha. It's like, it's interesting. I'm not going to tell you now. If you ask him, you listen to me, I'll tell you the reason later. Boy, and he asked him the question, says Rabbi Baravua, my Rebbe Rav says, halacha Rabbi Yossi. That's it. No. So what does Rav Huna? Rav Huna knows that halacha is Rabbi Yossi. He doesn't have a suffix. The bus of the Nafik, and after they left, okay, now that you did your job well, let me tell you the secret. This is the reason Rabbi Yossi. We already know this, right? The date in the shtar proves when the guy wanted to give the get. He wanted to give it to last year, and he's just waiting until he dies. So, if so, Elam Sapkele. So, what's the problem with Rav Huna? What's Rav Huna's deal? Beautiful. Another shaila. Can we apply Rabbi Yossi's halacha? What does Rabbi Yossi say? That there's a time in the get, but at the end of the day, the get doesn't say it tonight. And as the husband is giving the get to the wife, he says, "This is your get if I die." You hear? He said that condition bal peh. Does Rabbi Yossi still hold of his own svara? Rabbi Yossi says if there's a condition in the get, and but it doesn't say the word mahayon, but it says a date. A date is the same thing as mahayon. A date means I go retroactive to the beginning of the date. But that's because there's a condition in the get together with the date. You have two components. But if you only have one component, it just says the date, and the condition you invented when you gave her the get. Every get needs a get. That's what I told them before. Right.
Wouldn't be a get.
Right. That's the people ask that question. Every get needs a date, and that's why you put a date, not because you wanted to go. That's basically what he's asking me for. Which one? Where places? The what? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm explaining. Exactly what I'm explaining. That Rabbi Yossi always holds you don't need the word mehayoim. Oh, you're saying that in the
get it says mahayoim.
Yeah. Let me think for a second. Right. Right. Ain't cause of that's what's going on here. We're talking about balpe, it's not cause. So you're saying that it should say and then Rashi says aval pedilmo ki masin ale other mizman the shtar. He didn't say mahayoim. It doesn't say mahayoim and loy omer mahayoim.
In other words, by regular shliach,
Yeah.
maybe if it says mahayoim, it's clear that it's the date.
A regular get.
Yeah.
It says mahayoim, and it says a zman. Oh no. See, that's a problem for later on. It says a regular shtar. There's a tnai and there's man. About peh, they're not talking about. Maybe he's talking about it yet. I don't know. Okay, we have to look into it. Overlay, pay loy. Okay, so that was his shiloh. The bottom line is that he had a different question because he said about peh. He said in the get he wrote his man and about peh he said mayu. Why is that a problem? So this, by the way, is what? A case of balpeh. He says, he makes the condition balpeh. Raiza Gitl, I'm giving you this get on condition if I don't come back for 12 months. He didn't fulfill the condition. It seemed like on the surface. He said, if I don't come back in 12 months. But he died within the 12 months. And we said, Rabbi Seinu with Tiruli no say. The Rabbanan said it is a good get. Why? Who are these Rabbi Seinu? A special bezdin that said that the oil of a guy is mutter, you're allowed to use it. That bezdin. B'savri law, and they hold the Omer is manish ishtar mechiach alav. Oh, so we have a case again. The guy says, he writes in the get today's date, and then he gives a stipulation if he doesn't come back in 12 months. And they hold that it's a good get even if he dies on month number 6, not 12. Why? Because the get should be chal when he wrote it on the date that he wrote it. Achoponim, you see from here that even though the stipulation was bal peh, it still works. We still invoke Rabbi Yossi's halacha that al peh together with the date works.
Yeah, we're just ignoring the bal peh. Essentially, saying
No, we're not ignoring the bal peh. We're explaining the bal peh. We're explaining what he meant. He meant that there should be
it's chal right now.
What?
It's chal on the date. It's in the get.
Yeah, but he said if I don't come back in 12 months, and what if he came back? And what if he couldn't come back in 12 months because he died in the middle? So there's a certain explanation. We have to explain what the Rabbi Yossi explains. It's different. It's not like you think that dafka if he didn't come back in 12 months. These guys in Chicago don't want me to finish before chatzos. Oh no! So we do have halacha that says the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi even balpeh. Just Rav Huna wasn't sure if I should go with that halacha or not. I don't know if they're right or not. Did Rav Huna have such a suffix? Rava says, Raiza Gitl im mati. Again, it's a case of balpeh. This is your get if the person dies. Vishani makes. So this we don't have in the Mishnah. Im mati we have in the Mishnah, our Mishnah, Shani makes not. Raiza get, it's a good get. Now in our Mishnah it says it's not a get. We're going to have to explain. Why is it a get? Because Rava holds that we go retroactive. Im mati means that it should be get today. If I go back tomorrow, who could this go according to Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yossi. When he shall die and after death, ain't a get. So Gemara says, if he said straight out from today, v'rabbanon, and that's mamish the case of rabbanon, right? That's in the Mishnah. Mahayim, a retroactive case. What's the typical retroactive? It should start today if this and this happens, if he dies. So that's Rabbanan in the Mishnah. Rava has to repeat a Mishnah. We know that that's the halacha. So we're going to say a big chiddush here. We're going to say that Rava said it exactly like he said it, without the word mayim. Mamish, mila b'mila, like Rava said. If I die, it's a get. Mamish, the opposite of our Mishnah, but then it goes according to Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, that what? Rabbi Yossi holds manish shtar mechiach alav. There's the time inside the get, and that time is telling us that it should be retroactive. The get should be retroactive. Why did Rava say this case? Because he holds like Rabbi Yossi, and he paskins la'alacha like Rabbi Yossi, and it's balpeh, by the way. Yeah. So we have a case of a person saying the Tanai, the stipulation balpeh, together with the time in the get, and it works according to Rabbi Yossi. It's a good get lemafreya. So why is Rav Huna being mesubik? Says the Gemara. I'll tell you why Rav Huna is mesubik. L'Rava pshitale, Rav Huna mesabkele. Very good. Rava had it clear, and Rav Huna wasn't so posh at him. Another pshat is loylam doma le'mahayoim v'rabbanan. It's talking about a case where the guy said from today, if he dies, and it's a good get. And you asked me a question, what's the chiddush mefurish in the Mishnah? You're right. Part of it is a chiddush, part of it is not a chiddush. There are some lashoidas, language that I pointed out while we're reading it that's not in the Mishnah. Shani Meis. That the word Shani Meis is like Kim Mati Dami, that it's a get mafreya. Kisha Amos. But it Kisha Amos, it didn't say. It doesn't say it in the Mishnah. Kilachamisa Dami. That's also, it's not a get. The first part is a get, second part is not a get. But we have two lashoidas, one that's good, one that's not good, and that's both not in the Mishnah. That's why Rava said it. So some say on the second part of the Mishnah, not on the. We were talking about Rav Huna was saying this whole thing on the words im mati. No, it's going on the second part of the sefer. That what on the Mishnah. That part. If the husband stipulated this should be your get after he dies, Leah says the Mishnah is nothing. According to Rav Huna, and according Rav Huna says, according to Rabbi Yossi, you do chalitza. Pshita. So this is a little tricky, Rabbi Yossi. Not really tricky, but it's a little cool. Pshita, with the seif of the Rabbanu Cheletzes, Reisha Nami the Rabbi Yossi Cheletzes. What does this mean? The whole machlokes between Rabbi Yossi and Chachamim is if he didn't say the word mehayom, right? That's the whole machlokes. According to Rabbi Yossi, you don't have to say mehayom. It's obvious from the actual get. I want it from today. And according to Chachamim, you do have to say the word mehayom. But so the Gemara says, but in our Mishnah, in a case where the guy said mehayom, imati, what was the lashon? Zeav lachar misa. Zeav lachar misa le'emaklum. So the ratio, in a case that he said ma'ayim chacham hold, they have to do chalitza. So Rabbi Yossi is going to say that same case. What's the difference between Rabbi Yossi and chacham? Remove the word ma'ayim. So Rabbi Yossi is going to hold that he didn't say ma'ayim, you should do chalitza. In a case that you do say ma'ayim, chacham say chalitza. So if you don't say ma'ayim, according to Rabbi Yossi, it should be chalitza, because that's the whole argument between them. Whether without the word ma'ayim, Rabbi Yossi is going to say, I hold like chachamim, that this chalitza. Says Gemara, oh, you hear this? In a case where a person says Gittin, we have somebody called Rebbe, the author of the Mishnah, who holds that it's a perfect get. So why does Rabbi Yossi have to say it? The Rabbi Yossi is saying, I don't hold like Rebbe. I would think that he holds that Gittin like Rebbe, it's a great get, you don't even need chalitza. Each one doesn't like the other one. Rebbe doesn't hold like Rabbi Yossi, Rebbe doesn't like Rebbe. And therefore, Rabbi Yossi says you need chalitza. Rebbe le'sav Rabbi Yossi, the Tani kazeh get limuted Rabbi Yossi. When Rebbe is speaking, Rebbe says this case, mahayoim ulachar misa, I hold. You don't. It's a good get. But Rabbi Yossi's case, that he didn't say Mahayoim, there's just a date in the get, Rebbe doesn't agree to Rabbi Yossi. Again, in the case of Mahayoim or Lachamisa, both things are said, then Rebbe says it's a good get. But I don't agree to you, Rabbi Yossi, in your case that he doesn't say the word Mahayoim. I'm not going to agree to you. Rabbi Yossi, and then the flip side, Rabbi Yossi doesn't hold like Rebbe. The Tani Kozeh get. Rabbi Yossi says this is a get. The mood of the Rebbe. Only my case is a get, not your case, Rebbe. Rebbe, so the Gemara just goes into Zani. Rebbe holds from today. A guy gives a get. It should start today. And it should go lachar misa, get vein and get the richacham. It's a suffix. I don't know, right? The Mishnah. This is the Raiza, but we had in the Mishnah that I don't know if he meant it should start from today, retroactive, or he retracted and said it should go lachar misa. Rabbi Yossi, sorry, the sign of lachar misa get vein and get the richacham. Rabbi Yomer kozeh get. This case, Mahayoim, is a get, but not your case, Rabbi Yossi, where you don't say the word Mahayoim. Rabbi Yossi Mahi, and what's Rabbi Yossi? It's not. Kiss will get. Gotta turn this off because we're almost at the end. Kiss will get the new get lishti. Write a get. Give it to my wife. If I don't come back in 12 months, if they wrote it within 12 months, ain't a get. It's not a get if they wrote it in the middle and they gave it at the end after 12 months. Because get. This is a get, but I don't agree to you, Rabbi. Fine. So this is what you're talking about, Yankee, before, about the guy getting up, not getting up. A get is like a matana. We saw this earlier. A guy who's a shchimra is died. So he wants to make sure that everything is good, all his belongings go to the right people. He gives it all away, a mitzvah kind of amaze, whatever. You don't have to make kinyanim, nothing. It goes. What happens if he has miraculous recovery? He comes back to life. What, he should be left with nothing? He only gave it on condition that he didn't say the condition, but it was obvious to us. He thought he's dying tomorrow, so he gave it away. Now Baruch Hashem, he's alive and well. So this is the big chiddush of Rav Huna. That a get that's given by somebody that's dying, or one of those things, it was given without the stipulation that he's giving it because he's dying. He doesn't have to stipulate. You hear this? That's a huge chiddush of Rav Huna. He doesn't have to stipulate. We stipulate for him. We understand what happened there. He gave the get. The get is batul mavutak after the ara. Why? Because he's alive and well. He had a great recovery. So another halach, just like a get, even though you didn't explain. But since you said right, even though you didn't say give, you don't have to make a kinyan when it comes to money, because I know that the shchimah wants to give it, so even without a kinyan, it works. Tanan, we learned in our mission, this should be your get from today, if he dies from that. I keep on saying if he. I don't want to say it myself. That's why I keep on saying that lashon. He got up. He had enough koyach to walk around in the marketplace, and he dies. And he got another disease, v'meis. Okay, he had disease A. He was strong enough. He recuperated. He's walking around saying hello to everybody, and then he got loyal later another disease, and he dies. We have to assess this situation. If he died from the first disease, it's a great get. Im lav, then it's a whole new story, and a get. But if you tell me that if he recuperates, then the get is not a get. So what's this whole business of assessing? He stood up for one moment. He was able to run around like a young guy that doesn't have a disease. It's not a get. Finished. I just want to show you this real quickly. This thing right here. In green is a good get. In red, it's not a good get. So you have the two opposite cases. If he never completely recovered from his first machla, he had machla, and he never recuperated. He was in bed and he got another machla while he's in bed and he dies. What's the halacha? It's good. It's a good get. Green light, you go. What's the flip side? If he completely recuperated from his machla, he's walking around, he made a suicide and everything, and then he got another machla, he got a heart attack, and he died. That, according to everybody, is not a get. So what's our shaila? The middle one. That he recuperated, but a little bit. Like he's walking on a walker, says the Gemara. You figure out. For that, you need a doctor, exactly how it worked and how. But we're not sure. You hear? He recuperated. The doctor said, you know what? You're released from the hospital. But he's still on a wheelchair. He's still walking around. He's still not 100% himself. Then he chaps another pneumonia and he dies. No, so what did he die from? The doctor said he's cured. Well, he died the next day from pneumonia. Is that cured or not cured? He's 32 years old. Who dies from pneumonia when they're 32 years old? He must have had some other underlying condition. Go ask the doctors. That's our suffix over here. There was a guy who comes to an Eretz Yisrael. This is my Shoshana. Guy comes to Dr. Eretz Yisrael with a knife stuck in his stomach. So only in Eretz Yisrael, unfortunately. Lashon hara. Doctor says, sorry, my office is closed. I'm closing up now. I can't help you out. So the guy says, what do you mean? I have a knife stuck in my stomach. What should I do? The doctor says, let me take a look. He takes the knife out and sticks it right in his eye. He says, the optometrist is open until 8 o'clock. Then I go to the third floor. I ain't shum. Anyways, he went from one disease to another disease. It was machlot par v'chamar. He had this disease, went to another one. It's the same thing. He's going to die from the first one, die from the second one. I asked the Gemara, but you can't tell me that he He went from one disease to the other. Listen to the words. It says he stood up. He's good. It says Gemara, he healed for a moment and went into the next one. But he's walking around. Says the Gemara, and this is the point. It's very, very important. Holach al mishantoy. He's walking around with crutches on a walker. So there's a beautiful, I just saw a very interesting shayla. What do you guys think? Stam, take a vote here. A guy killed somebody, but because he's a big makubal and everything, he was able to do tchias hamesim on the guy. Is he chayev misa? Is he ritzeach or not? He killed him. The guy was dead for 10 minutes. And he remembered that he knows how to do tchias hamesim. Mamish like, Schachter, what was the thing? He did tchias hamesim. You're ritzeach or not ritzeach? Yes or no? You're saying no. So the Ahron from Karlin, he says, from this Gemara, he says, it says in the pasuk, Yakom Yisrael b'chutz al mishantoy. So mishantoy, he says, is the Gemara B'sachim, reads the Gemara B'sachim. I don't know, you could pass in halacha based on these drushes, but I thought it was cute. Al mishantoy, because the Gemara B'sachim says that Elisha used mishenes, he did tchias hamesim, so it's Shoshana tchias hamesim. So if Yakom Yisrael al mishantoy, if he did it al mishantoy and tchias hamesim, v'nika maka, then you're potter, like you said. It says in Gemara Kapanim on Daf Yomi Amud Aleph, "Vakom Ashvalon." That's what you're concerned about. Gishmak idea, no, collect life insurance, then you come back to live. Vakom Ashvalon, the Holach Hamishanto, who the Gittin, they're constantly conniving. How do I get this? I want to get a Chaim. So you die, it's kedai. You die for a week, and then you go to your friend that does Tchis HaMeisim, Shalom Yisrael. Once you collect the check, of course. Something that's 2 months, you went in the refrigerator. Oh, you hear this? So that's the case, the middle case. When do I go to the doctor to assess? Only in a case when the guy's going with the walker. Idach. But in the case where he died, like in case 1, the green case, that he died straight through, for even though there's a second machla, but he never got out of bed. You don't need. It's a good get. And Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. Have a meaningful fast. We should see Mashiach B'Charoy.